Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I just dropped the agenda in the chat. We are going to give it like a few more minutes, but while we are waiting, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat with your name, organization, or affiliation. And yeah. Happy New Year. Yep, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Just letting some folks in. Share the screen. Maybe the agenda. All right, we're gonna give it one more minute because we do have kind of a packed agenda. But continue introducing yourselves in the chat. Take a look at the agenda. It's also on the screen.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I hope you all are having a great first day of February. For those who don't know me, my name is Heaven Jordan, and I'm a program associate with the Prince George's County Food Equity Council. This is our first food assistance provider call of the year of 2024. So welcome. Great to have you all back, and I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. So for those of you who are just now joining us or pretty new to these calls, they started in 2020 during the pandemic. It's a food assistance resource hub for food assistance providers and folks that are interested in learning more about our network. Today we have lots of folks who are going to be sharing about various programs and topics. Our first speaker is Esther Waldrop of Montgomery County Food Council, who will be sharing about the Nutrition Navigator initiative. So Esther, are you here and ready to start? I think I saw you earlier.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much for having me. And sorry, I joined a little bit late. I was having some tech issues, but here we are.
No worries.
Yes. So again, my name is Esther Waldrop. I'm from the Montgomery County Food Council. I came on to share just more about the Nutrition Navigator, which I'm sure a lot of you have been hearing about. It's been in our newsletters, social media, and just trying to push out this awesome tool. So the Food Trust, the Bainham Family Foundation, and the MoCo Food Council are excited to announce a Nutrition Navigator launch. This is an interactive, multi-language, free online community resource map that's currently focused in the Philadelphia and DC, Maryland, Virginia area. It gives residents a clear, comprehensive picture of the healthy food-related programs and resources available to them, from nutrition education and incentive programs to local points of access and job training opportunities. The Nutrition Navigator, which was previously known as a learning food locator, is a mapping tool, so it helps users find healthy food near them. The Montgomery County Food Council is serving as a local partner in this effort, and so we're actively recruiting local partners and organizations that are working in the food system space in the DMV region to join the network. We believe that the Nutrition Navigator is going to be a valuable tool for our partners and the general public. So let me see if I can pull up, drop any links in the chat. So I don't know, I'll just give a quick overview. I won't share my screen. So what the types of programs that you'll see on the map are find healthy local food near me, learn about food and nutrition, stretch my food budget, and train for food and farming jobs. And so folks can get on the map. Let me share this in the chat so everyone can follow along as I share about the tools. So if you click on the website, residents are able to click on the map, type in their area code, and filter by language, types, venues, and some of the different categories that I just mentioned. So right now, we have a lot of the previous organizations that were on the Learning Food Locator, but we're looking to update the map and add any new relevant programs on there. So if you're interested in getting your program on the map, please feel free to either email me, and I'll drop my email in the chat in just a little bit, or you can just go through the top right. It says Partner Portal, and you can click there, and if you're new, you can submit your program. And if you feel like we were on the
Esther, sorry to interrupt. Are you supposed to be sharing your screen? Because we're not seeing anything.
Oh, you know, I was, but I thought it would be easier if folks just click on the link.
Either way, just wanted to clarify. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, if you feel like my organization should be on here, or if you feel like you are on there and you've lost the ability to log in and add any changes, you can easily click on existing partners and recover user access that way, or again, just email me and we can set that up. But yeah, we're looking to populate this map with really great free resources for the community. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Well, I'll be on the call if anyone wants to let me know if they have any other questions. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Hey, this is Denise Woods with Food Justice, and I do have a question.
Sure.
Do you include people who are undocumented in the job searches, or what is the requirements for people to access that resource?
So this is a free resource for that's available to anyone. This is more, we are actively recruiting organizations to be on the map. So if your target audience, you could select language or venue, and in the program description, you know, you can put in whatever target audience you have. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I know the tool is we're still working out some kinks, but.
Are you saying this is more of a resource for people, or a system level or organizational approach versus individuals who are looking for work?
So this is for the map itself is for residents in the Philly and DC area, but we're looking to add programs for those residents. Does that make sense? So we're trying to recruit more organizations to be on the map.
Got it. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Esther. And if folks have additional questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'm sure Esther will be able to answer them. All right, so next up we have Sophia Bronze, who will be sharing a little bit about the Charles County Community Fridge Initiative. And Sophia, I see you're on.
All right, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm at the office today, so there may be a little background noise. And Christina Berthelot, my colleague, is going to help with screen sharing, or she's going to drop in the chat our website. So I'm Sophie Bronze, and I'm here with SMATIC, Southern Maryland Agricultural Development Commission, and also MMM Maryland Market Money. And I'm here to talk about our free fridge program that we're doing called So MD Fridges. So I think it's important when you hear about these pilot projects, because that's where we're in our pilot phase of this, is to hear the inception, kind of like how it all began. So Maryland Farmers Market Association was sort of our predecessor association for MMM. And at the start of the pandemic, it went under. It did have a fridge. And so when it got kind of taken under by SMATIC, the two staff people that were from Baltimore and New Orleans were like, wow, we should do mutual aid. A lot of those projects were popping up during the pandemic, and we've seen now that they're here to stay. And then it was kind of like, well, how do we get that going in more of a rural area, which is where we're at? So it took a while for us to find, I entered the picture then, and it was quite a while before we could find the appropriate funding source that we needed for that. Because what our idea was is that we would get this fridge started a year of the pilot, where we would pay the farmers, the local farmers, so they'd have an alternative stream on an off season and be able to make retail prices. And then it would be kind of enveloped by the host site. So through Lifestyles, which is an organization maybe you guys are familiar with, I'm not really sure, but they were the ones that led us to our host sponsor, Reverend Kate, with Christ Church of La Plata. She's amazing, amazing woman. And what we were able to do then is, adjacent to the church, there's a food pantry. So there's already the idea that people know to access, there's food access available there on Fridays. And just on the back side of the food pantry, we had some volunteers build out this beautiful kind of situation for both the fridge and some dry storage. So there could be like personal products like toiletries there, but also dry goods, etc. And so once that got built and the fridge was in place, then we were able to send out our application to farmers that would be able to participate in this. And it was for Charles County farmers specifically. That's where our funding is kind of relegated to at the moment for this project. And a lot of this hinges on volunteers. So we've had a network of volunteers that text me. It's really important that there's good signage on the fridge and that it's clean. And we've learned all of these best practices through RVA Fridges. Taylor at RVA Fridges, amazing. And also Asmare from One Love Community Fridges in New York, another wonderful resource. What I've really seen through all this is everyone's really willing to share all their best practices, and that every fridge is kind of like its own little like community store. It has kind of different needs, and so we just have the one currently, but we're looking at having one in Waldorf as well. So that's going to be sort of a quicker paced rollout than our La Plata one, which is really exciting. So I want to stop here. Okay, and Christina's going to show pictures, and yes. Okay, so this is our website. It's on the main SMATIC website. If you just scroll down a little bit, you'll find it here. I'm going to give a shout out to Christina for the amazing logo of SoMD Fridges, always doing the most there. And this is kind of some of the other marketing pieces that we have, some information that we have actually printed out and put on the fridge itself, but also it's there just so everyone's aware, because I feel like particularly in this area, a free fridge was something that raised a lot of red flags for people. There was a lot of like, well, what if someone comes and takes all the food? And it's like, well, then that person needed all the food. And it's a whole new way of relating to food access and community, but everything's fully disclosed there. In addition to that, we have some pictures of our grand opening. So we have a lot of elected officials that came, and the green top is Reverend Kate. So that's Senator Ellis and Senator Bailey in the pink shirt. And then this is a local county official in the red, all kind of like peeping into the fridge, checking it out. And you can see adjacent to it are kind of the dry storage areas. This is Jenya. She's one of our farmers. So another aspect that was really great for this fridge is it's attached to the food pantry. It's next to the church, but also on Wednesdays and Saturdays, just in the parking lot behind it, is the farmer's market. So Jenya is at the farmer's market, that farmer you saw dropping the stuff off. And so they're able to do sort of like a food waste rescue aspect of things as well. Yep. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
Well, I'm obsessed. So I've always been, when this whole concept started in the pandemic, I was always like, this is something that every neighborhood type like needs. And as
Yeah.
someone that lives in Baltimore and like donates to the community fridges and micro pantries, I can see the impact is just so great. And it's such a low barrier. So love this work, and I hope that the expansion is as seamless. Did you have any struggles at all with getting this started? Would love to hear any struggles that you had.
Yeah, there were definitely struggles. It was mostly around like just like people worried about like safety and again people taking the food, but we had to explain it's like mutual aid. It's food for people to take. It's not taking, it's just available. And we were able to source a lot of that like expert like guidance and hand holding this new concept of mutual aid for those that were worried about it from accessing like RVA fridges, Taylor there, through talking with Asmarie through One Love Community Fridge. So it was really just like reaching out, getting information from them on like how to address it, so that people were like it was a calming effect for them. And it's really been interesting because these people that were initially very like scared of it and anti it, to be very honest, they're now some of our like biggest fans and just like rep us so hard. And so that's really been a beautiful transition for everyone to be able to experience, like having patience for that, being able to communicate through that in an educational way, with sensitivities, and then seeing like the other side of it through like time and experience. And it's really interesting because every week I'll get a text message from our farmers that like drop off the food. It is completely wiped clean. Like, I mean, that fridge is cleaner than my fridge at home. Like, it's clean, but I'm telling you, all the food is gone. So it is extremely utilized. And then when we know the kids are out of school for like the holidays or whatever, we're noticing now like, oh, that'll be a good time to do like a double weekly drop of purchasing. And it's really important that like you do multiple rounds of going to the community. Like this week, I'm going to go back to the community and ask some of the like bakeries or restaurants that maybe the first time were a little bit unsure about donating or like kind of what this concept is. And now that they see it and it's gotten a lot of like good press, and obviously there's been no safety issues, they could possibly be more willing to participate.
Mhm. And how did you all select the farmers that were going to participate in this fridge?
Yeah, so we sent out, and it was like through social media, and then gosh, through various networks, we sent out an application for Charles County farmers to apply. And then if they applied, we'd reach out to them and say, okay, what do you have available? That was part of the application as well, as like, what do you have? Would you want to donate any in addition to if we purchased from you? And I could share that as well. But we did that, and then people that had more availability, like there's one farmer, I'll just say, isn't Carl Schlegel. He's been really wonderful to work with. He kind of stepped up and does like a large bulk of it, but then I have like another one like this apiary that has like a bunch of duck eggs that they like to do, and I'm like, okay, cool, So just kind of like that. And I think it'll change. So that's how the farmers came on, is there's an application and it's also on the website. Like if you'd like to get in, like involved in this.
Well, if folks have additional questions, I could ask questions all day. So please jump in, if anyone has any additional questions. Okay, well, since folks are being shy, is there any interest in expanding this to other counties at all?
I say yes. We're actually first we want to like expand it in Charles County, you know, and then we want to develop a template, like a user's guide, so that there could be more SoMD fridges around, but they're kind of like under this umbrella. They're maintained by their community host site, but there's just like a touchstone for the refrigerator to like know basic practices and to know there's like, you know, a network around you is always better in any sort of thing you do. So there's that. And it's really funding limited. We're hoping like counties step up, as we've seen Charles County do, which was amazing, but we can't expect that. But I think the more the counties see that it's something that's not only like needed in their community, but it's not any sort of like safety concern, or it's actually something very easy and uplifting for the community. I think they would do it. What we saw with food pantries, and you guys see it too, is that like, you know, I'm a single mom. Like I know how hard it is just to like navigate like schedules and picking up groceries and doing all the things. Like, could you imagine like going to like having your job, having kids, having maybe you don't have a car, right? Going to the food pantry on these like specifically allocated times, right? What if you can't do that? Well, the fridge is there to provide that 24/7.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
saw a question. Is the fridge completely funded by Charles County? Right now, yes.
That was my question. Thanks, Sophie. I was just wondering what the funding model.
Yeah.
was.
So it's not funded per se by Charles County. It is kind of like a hodgepodge of different things. So there's like, you know, there's the staffing part of like what we do every day. That goes into like general SMATIC food access programming in general, but then there was also infrastructure, there was building certain things. So there's a lot of different components. The part that is being funded by Charles County specifically right now, in addition to like staff support, is the food buying aspect of the project, which is one of the bigger ones, and one that, you know, it's, as Sophie mentioned, it's a pilot. So with this program, we to like help meet farmers, diversify their revenue streams, et cetera, when they're not just donating, we're essentially buying the produce from them, and we're buying it at a retail price rather than a wholesale price. So they're getting their whole dollar's worth, or most of their dollar's worth. That money from Charles County supports our MMM work. It supports a lot of our WIC pop-ups that we do in the summer with FMNP. And then it supports to buy fresh produce for this fridge. So Charles County mostly for the food, but then other places for like infrastructure and such. And that's one of the things is with other counties, we need those funding things in place too. And as we've seen in the pilot of this project, buying food always comes with like strings. You can't just buy food. And I know that so many people on this call are used to that, and we're all like scrapping for the same dollars from the same organizations. So we're mindful of that. We try to work with partners where we can and however we can, and like uplift each other. So yeah, it's a pilot and Sophie's doing great with it. So we're just navigating how we can. I hope that answers your question.
That's extremely helpful. Thank you. And if you guys were open to sharing, I would love to be able to see kind of a rough budget of the pilot program. I know there's a lot of interest in general in these types of models, especially among funders. So it would be great to kind of have some budget items in hand that we could share out to hopefully be able to replicate this model a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean, Sophie talked about a template, and that sort of goes hand in hand with that, because, you know, once this program grows bigger, it's gonna grow out of our hands. You know, we can't be in all the places all at once, just like we are with MMM. We really rely on our access points to run the programming. So yeah, we'll definitely have some stuff to share, especially with partners.
And Julia, I really like get my contact, 'cause if this is something like pertinent and like on your plate right now, I'd love to connect you to the people that I've worked with personally. Like for instance, now Taylor in RVA, like she's just a gold mine. She started as like a school nutritionist and then she just one fridge after another. You've seen it. And I don't know if any of you follow it, but it's just like now they have a brick and mortar spot where they make like soups with all their food rescue that they put in. I mean, it's really, and they're not that far away. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's like, so it's been really cool to see that. Just like, wow, good work.
Great. Thank you so much. And we have one more question in the chat.
Mhm.
Can we collaborate to help provide food in jails, detention centers, and women's shelters? There are reports of crisis and lack of food.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk more about that.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed listening to this. And we're definitely going to connect. The FEC team will definitely connect with you to talk about this more offline.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
No problem. And next up, we're gonna have some legislative updates from the Maryland Hunger Solutions team. I see Elizabeth Epps is on, and Julia Gross will be providing those updates.
Thanks, Heaven. It's good to be with you all today. My name is Elizabeth Epps. I use she, her pronouns, and I am with Maryland Hunger Solutions. And yeah, as most of you know, we're a few weeks into the Maryland legislative session, and it's already been really busy for anti-hunger legislation in the state. So I'm going to give some quick updates. I don't have slides, but if you have questions about anything I talk about today, I can drop my email into the chat and feel free to reach out. And so I'm going to talk about SNAP supplemental and then hand it to Julia to talk about healthy school meals for all. And we really appreciate the Food Equity Council's help with both of these pieces of legislation. But for the SNAP, starting with the SNAP supplemental bill. So this is responding to the hunger cliff that we're still experiencing, but that began last year with the end of SNAP emergency allotments in Maryland and in many other states saw a dramatic cliff in benefits in around March of last year. So we have been working with legislators on the House and Senate sides to introduce legislation that would raise the minimum benefit to $95 per month in Maryland. It's currently $23 per month for everyone except for people 62 and over, and it's $40 a month for folks that are in that age category. And that's something that we've advocated for many years, to get expansions in benefit levels for that population. So this would be across the board, $95 a month minimum benefit for everyone. We recognize that this would mostly be reaching older adults who are in that space between $23 a month and $95 a month currently with their benefits, but it would also reach people outside of that age category. So our Senate bill is SB 35. It's sponsored by Senator McCray, and it's in the Budget and Taxation Committee. The Senate bill already had its first hearing 2 weeks ago in committee, and the hearing was strong. We had a really strong panel delivering testimony, and we appreciate anyone on this call, including the Food Equity Council, who submitted written testimony and or oral testimony for that hearing. We have the exciting news is that our House bill sponsored by Delegate Shetty, was introduced was dropped last week. So that is House Bill 666. Not a super auspicious number, but that's okay. So we have 3 additional co-sponsors on the House bill, and that hearing will be this upcoming Tuesday at 1 p.m. in the Appropriations Committee in the House. And written testimony, because this is a House hearing, is due tomorrow by 6 p.m. If you are interested in submitting testimony and need any help with drafting, please reach out to me, and we're happy to provide some assistance with drafting written testimony. We circulated a sign-on letter for both the Senate and House bills, and we were able to get 57 signatures on our sign-on letter. So we're very excited to see really broad organizational support across the state for this legislation. And we're planning to share that letter with legislators in each committee tomorrow. So thank you to everybody who signed on to our sign-on letter for that. I think that is it for the SNAP supplemental bill that we are supporting. I did want to quickly note that we have another bill that was recently introduced that has both a House, that's on both the House and Senate side, HB 543 and SB 722. This bill aims to raise the minimum for people in the age category I was talking about, 62 plus, to $75 from the current minimum, which is $40. So this was introduced on the House, in the House Appropriations Committee, as well as the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee. We do not have a hearing date for either of these bills, and Maryland Hunger Solutions will be encouraging the legislators who are sponsoring this legislation to join our effort, because we really want to aim for that overall across the board increase in the minimum benefit rather than target it to one specific age group. But just to let everybody know that there is another bill that's been introduced that is aiming to increase the minimum benefit. And I think that's it. Before I hand it over to Julia, I know today we were just going to talk about the SNAP supplement and the and healthy school meals for all, but Julia, I don't know if you want to spend like a couple moments at the end talking about summer SNAP as well. But that is up to you. But I'm gonna hand it to Julia, and also if you have any questions, please let me know.
All right. Great. Well, thanks for having us here. My name is Julia Gross. I'm also with Maryland Hunger Solutions, and I focus on child nutrition programs. So like Elizabeth said, I'll touch on healthy school meals for all. I'm also happy to touch on summer SNAP as well. I know that hearing is coming up too. So for healthy school meals for all, this is an initiative that has been going on in Maryland for quite some time and really sweeping the country for the past couple of years. You know, after the pandemic, when schools were allowed to serve meals at no cost to all students, I think that's kind of where states started stepping in and realizing that school meals are an incredible safety net program to all families. And I think, you know, hearing from our last speaker that you know, food is, you know, the food assistance programs are even more needed in the out of school time hours. That's something that we hear a lot. And I think just a testimony to how incredibly important school meals are. So what we're trying to do is join the 8 states across the country that have dedicated state funding to provide school breakfast and lunch at no cost to all students across the state. This bill has been introduced before and not passed. It is a hefty investment, so we always get a little bit of pushback on just the fiscal note and the budget. But we also recognize that it is an incredibly important investment in our state and our state's future. Students are not going to be able to learn without being able to access the nutrition that they need to thrive during the school day. So we have two bills going in right now, both on the Senate and the House side. Our sponsors are Delegate Plakovich Carr and Senator Gazzoni. I'll put the links in the chat after I'm done talking because I can't do two things at once like Elizabeth can. But I do have hearing dates and times for both of them in case anyone wants to weigh in or provide testimony. The Senate bill is being heard next Wednesday, the 7th. And that's in the Budget and Taxation Committee. It's jointly assigned, but it will be heard within B&T. And then the House hearing is the Wednesday afterwards on the 14th. And that one is being heard in Ways and Means. So we do have a coalition going on. It meets weekly. So we have a pretty broad base of support for this bill, which is fantastic. The coalition meetings are open to anyone who wants to join. We have a coalition website that I'll also put in the chat that is hopefully easy enough to navigate and has some really helpful resources on there. So it has information about our weekly coalition meetings and the Zoom link for that for anyone who wants to join. It also has information on the bill hearings. There's resources linked in there. So sample testimony for anyone who wants to draft testimony, but maybe needs a little bit more information about the bill or what's going on, across the country and some of the benefits that we see from school meals. Yeah, so I will put all of that in the chat. If anyone is interested in showing a little bit more public support for the bill, we are collecting organizational logos for the bill one-pager, and we're also collecting organizational logos for folks who want to join the coalition a little bit more officially long-term, not necessarily in conjunction with any specific bill, but just showing support for Healthy School Meals for All as an initiative in Maryland. So I'll pause there to see if anyone has any questions about that first, and I can put some links in the chat, and then Heaven, if it makes sense to touch on Summer Snap, I can continue on with that as well.
Yeah, sure. You can continue on with Summer Snap.
Sure. All right. So there's also a bill in the legislature right now dealing with Summer Snap. So Summer Snap is a state-funded EBT program that provides dollars to families during the summer months, families with kids who would have been on free and reduced price meals, but obviously don't have access to that during the summer. So Summer Snap kind of steps in and provides funding for those families. $30 a month in June, July, and August, and $10 in December. That program is being kind of taken over a little bit or morphed into Summer EBT, which is a federally funded program. So Summer Snap is state funded. It was passed by the Maryland General Assembly a number of years ago and started in 2020. But there is a federal program coming down the line starting this summer 2024 that is fully funded. Summer Snap has never been fully funded. Unfortunately, the state just doesn't have enough to cover everyone who's eligible for that program. But Summer EBT is fully funded from the federal government. Those benefits are coming from down from USDA into the much more kind of broad sweeping. It covers more folks, like more folks are eligible for the program. It's going to cover more families and more kids during the summer months. And so this bill, from our conversations with DHS, it sounds like this bill is asking for some flexibility within the state funded Summer Snap program, as well as some additional funding to put into Summer EBT to help those two programs kind of merge together and to get that whole process going so that they can transition into Summer EBT and cover as many families as possible. So that hearing date is also coming up. Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the next week on the 8th. So I can put the link in the chat for that bill as well, if folks are interested in learning a little bit more or providing testimony for that bill. We're certainly able to answer any, or certainly willing to try to answer any questions that we can on that one. But I know there's still a lot of information that's a little bit unknown about kind of that transition and how summer EBT is going to work.
Great, thank you. Do folks have any questions? Feel free to ask them now. Or if you want to ping Julia or Elizabeth offline, sorry. Then I'm sure they'll drop their emails in the chat. And I encourage folks to testify either verbally or written if you are in support of these bills. So make your voice heard. All right. Well, thank you all. We're gonna move on to Julia, who will be sharing a little bit about the Food Assistance Advisory Group. So Julia, I'm passing it over to you.
Thanks, Heaven. Yeah, I just wanted to put in a little quick plug for a food assistance provider advisory group that we are relaunching to really just kind of help guide these calls and the resources and the work that we do at the Food Equity Council to support food assistance providers. We launched this, we've had kind of various iterations of this group ever since we started this work. At the beginning of the pandemic, we had a small team that was supporting kind of what resources we were putting out there. We kind of shifted into a slightly larger group, and then our members have kind of trickled off a little bit. So we're hoping to kind of bring in some new folks, bring in some new ideas and perspectives to really kind of help shape the work that we're doing. We ultimately want to make sure that these calls and the resources we're putting out there are beneficial to you all. And we really can only do that with, the support and information from folks that are doing this work. So folks that are on the ground doing food assistance and serving clients in need. So if you are interested in joining this advisory group, please do let me know, and I'll drop the link in the chat for how to sign up for that, or you can just email myself or Heaven. This is just an open call for folks who are interested in joining this. You can be working at a social service organization, you could be working with county or local government, you could just be a resident who volunteers. This is really an open call for anyone who wants to join this. And we'll kind of figure out a meeting structure that works. We're going to try to make it a pretty low lift, potentially meeting every month, but likely every other month for an hour, and it will really just be an opportunity to sit down, to get together, to figure out kind of, okay, what do we want to focus on for upcoming food assistance provider calls? What resources are we hearing we need to push out there, and that kind of thing. So really, it's a pretty low commitment, and we really do value kind of bringing in new folks and having you participate in this. So I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. If you have any questions right now, I'll just pause and feel free to come off mute or drop them in the chat. And if not, feel free to also just email me directly, email myself or Heaven. And the link that I'm dropping in the chat, so this is a feedback form we put together on our call schedule. So we're hoping that if you go into this form, you can provide kind of general feedback on our calls from this past year, and then also kind of note if you're interested in signing up for this group. So here you go. Any questions? Anyone immediately interested in this group, feel free to raise your hand or chime in the chat, and we can reach out to you offline.
Yep, Julie, I have an email. Someone messaged me and I'll send it over.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah, I see your thumbs up. So can you just make sure we have your email as well? Maybe you already sent that to Heaven, just so we know we can get a hold of you. And thanks, Christina.
Great. Okay. So now I'm gonna just open up the floor for community announcements. If folks have any community announcements, feel free to unmute yourself and share them for either the months of February or March. So feel free to chime in or drop things in the chat. We have a quiet group today. All right, well, if there are none, then, or if you can't think of anything right now, you can also just email me and I'm happy to share those with my weekly emails. I did want to highlight, oh, I see Ethel is back, from Community Support System, so, that's always a nice announcement. So welcome back, Ethel. I'm so glad that to hear that you're back.
Then I
And
could give a little update.
okay.
I don't want to I know that we've occupied a lot of
Oh,
space. Smatic has occupied a lot of space, but on wearing my MMM hat, for folks who have like community farmers markets or even farm stands and farmers, right now we are accepting applications for Maryland Market Money, which is a statewide food access program that feeds Marylanders and supports farmers by instituting a dollar for dollar match at farmers markets, farm stands, and CSAs. We actually take applications year round, but right now is our big push pre-season. Again, it's for farmers markets, farm stands, and CSAs. So if you have a local community, like garden or farmer, that you would like to see some food access programming at, shoot them our way, or give them the application that I'm gonna post in chat in just a second. We can help folks get signed up with SNAP. In order to take SNAP, we have access to some partners that can provide like equipment grants. And then we can help like get a person to the finish line to be able to match, as well as Maryland Department of Agriculture is doing FMNP certifications right now, so farmers can be able to take those farmers market nutrition program coupons now. So if you I'll drop that in the chat too. If folks have farmers they want to see take these benefit assistance programs like at their farm stands, markets, or whatever, please encourage them to do that.
great. Okay, and last call for any other community announcements, folks? Okie dokes. So I did just want to highlight some things on the agenda to share with you all. Hopefully you all are already getting my weekly emails. But I did want to point to the email mailing list if you wanted to join and get our newsletters. And also if you aren't on our food assistance provider listserv, you can join by clicking that link. And then if you've missed any of our past food assistance provider calls, that's a YouTube playlist with all of our calls within the past like 2 years or so. And then a while ago, the Capital Area Food Bank presented on the Curbside Groceries Initiative, and there are some slides there, but they are actively still accepting new applications for this initiative. And if you're interested in hosting a site, you can fill out this form. I know that there are 2 new sites in Prince George's County already. So Hyattsville and I forgot the other location. I forgot the other location, but it's on our Instagram page, and feel free to share that with your pantry clients, and let them know that there's a new site and a new access point to buy groceries. And then I also wanted to flag that if you're interested in keeping track of any bills, there's a legislative tracker for 2024, and these are all food system related bills that are being introduced this year. And then there is a statewide nutrition assistance equipment program, and the deadline for that is March 8th. I won't go through all of these, but I just wanted to highlight those 3 things. Oh, and then today is the last day to submit an application for to nominate someone for the David Harrington Food Justice Award. So if you know of anyone that you want to nominate, today is the last day. All right. And feel free to peruse on the other resources, and happy to have you all, but I will give you all 10 minutes of your day back. And thank you all for joining us today. And we'll be sure to send over the notes. Thank you all.